Hello everyone and welcome to this week's iStorm Live Lounge. I'm Mee Elverson, I'm the creator of iStorm, and I'm here weekly now in lockdown mode on Zoom calls with magnificent people who share their expertise on current topics to inspire, motivate and educate us. And today we are going to talk about online etiquette, do's and don'ts on social media. And I've brought in Sarah Guile, who I've known for quite a few years now. She is one of the co-founders of the Mumpreneurs Networking Club here in the UK. She's a former editor. She had her own magazine called Mums Inc. And she's been in publishing for many, many years. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today on the topic of online etiquette, do's and don'ts on social media. How are you? How are you holding up at the moment?
Oh, thank you, Mee. It's a pleasure to be here today. Holding up, I think we're holding up all right. I mean, the first 6 weeks seems to have gone okay. I'm not sure how the next 6 weeks will go, but we're doing all right. We're all getting on with our own thing and we are pushing ahead and hoping that it will, that we can keep that pace up for however long it takes, although not knowing how long it's going to take is obviously playing on a few people's minds. So we'll see, but I think I'm all right. At the moment, I've still got a sense of humour.
Yeah, it's the unknown, isn't it, that always tips us over, and I think it's very frustrating, but it is what we've got, and we just got to try and see it through in the best way. But Sarah, tell us a little bit more about the Mumpreneurs Networking Club and what it is and what you do.
Right, well, MNC, as we fondly call it these days, it's a community that supports and connects family-led businesses, whether they're sole traders, freelancers or micro businesses. And we do that through the MNC community online in social media and through our paid networking club. We're passionate about supporting family-led businesses, to make an economic income contribution to their family households, and we do that through our networking club and our membership,
which is fantastic. And I've been a member. I'm one of your first and probably oldest members as well by now.
I think you may well be. We've been around for a decade now, and I think you are probably one of our longest serving members, Mee.
And proud, very proud of that. So you see obviously a lot of female entrepreneurs going out on social media, and you want to help them to get training in all shapes and forms and connect with other people. How many people have you had in through your doors just since lockdown? Because I know it's a lot, isn't it?
It's been phenomenal. We have had, and we keep a fairly close eye on our stats, we have had over 1,000 attendees since the start of lockdown to our events online, which is massive. Normally in a month, we'd average around 400 to 500, but to double it since lockdown is just astounding. But it's down to the community as well. Myself and Nikki Chisholm are leading it. But we also know that our managers and our members are pulling together to push on for those figures they want to keep connected at this time. We're committed to keeping them visible and viable at this time so that they are ready for any lifting of lockdown and any semblance of normality that may return, hopefully sooner, but possibly later. It's a community effort.
Which is fantastic. And of course, so much has shifted to online communication now. So it's vital for us to stay visible online, and you're really supporting that. So that's great. And that's why I brought you in, because you, of course, see so many things going on, and you have been active on social media for many, many years. So we're going to talk about the online etiquette, and we've broken it down in 3 categories for a start. So we're going to talk about objectives, brand, and audience. And then we're actually going going to read out some of your favorite viewers in the iStorm group have contributed and said what their favorite pet hates is on social media. So we're just going to share a few of those as well. So Sarah, are you ready if we start talking about objectives and what can go wrong if we don't
Absolutely,
have those?
Let's do it.
Excellent, yeah. So I think, I mean, when you go out on any platform as a brand, as a business, of course, you've got to be really clear on what your objectives are, what your goal is, and the purpose for being visible on social media. You're not just going to go out there without having a reason for it, because you're going to be wasting your time. And it is surprising how many people don't actually have seen that purpose and aligned with it.
One of the top pieces of advice we give people who are going to attend any networking session, be it online or in real life with us or with somebody else, is practice. Know what you're going to say, and if you're uncertain about what you're going to say, just write down 3 sentences. Who you are, in case you forget in the heat of the moment, and people do. What you do, or the name of your business, and what support you're looking for, what help you're looking for, because people will then come forward. If you just have those 3 sentences, it's really succinct. And we have seen people ramble and ramble and ramble, and then still at the end of, saying all these words they had to say, people still have no idea what they're doing. Now that does everybody a misservice, including yourself, because nobody is going to tune in again.
And if you don't know what you're doing there, how on earth is anyone else going to remember what you're there to do for them?
Absolutely.
We're coming into the brand there, and this is really important. Again, if you are a business, you've got to show up as that business and reflect also what you do as much as possible, because that's all going to enhance your brand. It's going to create consistency and continuity, congruence, which is a lovely word we like to use sometimes, and makes people just remember your brand better and understand what it is about in a better way. So it's about what you say, what you show, and what you are when you show up, to make sure that's all aligned. So we talked about rambling on without purpose, but what else can go wrong when we're not quite aligned with our brand? Do you have any examples?
Well, I think appearance is one of the big things. And so, if you are perhaps, let's say you're offering a service to keep people's lives on track, or to declutter, or, perhaps you are an organizer and you'll come into someone's office and organize it. It's no good if you've got your pants drying on an error behind you. If you are trying to tell people that you can help them organize their lives, you have got to make sure that your background shows that you are organized, because if otherwise people aren't going to trust you. There would be no credibility there.
And also, you are the sum of your patterns, right? So some people might not be aware of how you are feeding them a constant image, because you think that, oh, this is business and this is personal. But if you're on, say, Facebook on the same page, and your business potential clients are following you on your page, then you need to have somewhat of consistency there as well. And we know that employers nowadays, they go to your Facebook profile to check where you are even. And then if you're showing up completely drunk off your head at parties every weekday even of the week, it's not going to be a really good impression. And then we have a classic, which is showing too much skin, perhaps. The social media influencers who have influenced kind of completely different normal people into thinking that we have to strip off in our bikini every day when we go out on Instagram, and rock up with a big, massive, fancy, really expensive car. Otherwise you can't go on Instagram, or other really expensive luxury items, when they might be someone who is charging you money for their services, and they are then in effect just saying, look what I spent all your money that you gave to me on. Here is my new sports car. So that can really actually be a thorn in people's eyes when you do that.
It can, and I think we've got to remember, yes, there is that crossover between personal and business and personal and professional now more than ever over the past few weeks. And people love to see the person behind the image and the business persona, and that's fine. And you can show, we've all been Zoom bombed by our children or our pets over the past few weeks, and probably that's all right. We're all doing it. It's not an issue, but you need to be a little bit careful about the image you're putting out there. I think my rule of thumb it's always been with my social media posting, and I'm sort of employing the same rule with all my online networking now. And that is, if I'm posting anything, or I'm sitting talking about something, or I'm in an interview, or I have a background, it has to be something that I would be more than happy for a potential business partner to witness, or my granny.
Agree completely. Very good. But now, underlying all of this is the audience, of course, and that's really important, because if you don't know your audience, you're not going to go anywhere with anything. So knowing who you actually want to resonate with, who you want to attract, is more important than anything, because otherwise you're never going to know what to put out there and who's going to be attracted to you, right?
No, I completely agree. You need to know who your audience is. You need to know where they're hanging out. So are they on Facebook? Are they on something? Are they on Instagram? Where do they hang out? And indeed, are they even using social media? Now, I would say right now they are, because what else have we got? So, but you need to find out where they are. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? So find out where they are. And then you need to make sure that what you're offering is relevant to them, because if it isn't, you may need to go take a step back and have a look at what you're offering and what you want people to buy into. Because if it's not relevant, it doesn't matter how much social media you're doing, how many networking meetings you're turning up to, nobody will be buying into it.
That's great stuff. And we are going to move over to how we can set up for a Zoom call. Of course, we are completely inundated with Zoom calls, and you, Sarah and Nikki, you are the queens of Zoom at the moment. But I am just going to point out a couple of things that I've learned, because I've been doing quite a few Zooms, not only now, but over a couple of years as well, which I've noticed that there are a few set rules that you can actually not only implement yourself or follow yourself, but also give your attendees before they go online. Because, for example, of course, we need to make sure that we are ready and we know the technology, but also asking the attendees to be ready, because it's really disruptive if you're doing a Zoom call and people are settling in and they're moving around, especially if they have backgrounds, these the fake backgrounds that you can screen behind you on Zoom, and they're moving, and then it looks like they're floating around above the Eiffel Tower or the Golden Gate Bridge or something. So I wouldn't even suggest using those backgrounds unless you know how to set it up and make sure that it's a consistent and stable background. So be seated and sit still. It's really important. And one thing that I always, of course, tell my clients and customers and followers is just to have light in your face, because it's going to make a massive difference, especially on Zoom. And again, be on brand. Make sure that you're in an environment that is actually attractive for your viewers, that resonate with your brand. And as a hostess or host, to mute your participant, because that's another thing that is really disruptive, is if a lot of people are chattering in the background, you have kids and dogs, people are drinking coffee or hitting their microphone. So muting everyone else who are not speaking, just do that automatically. And if you can, if it's a big meeting, if it's a big webinar or a big Zoom call that is important for you, just get someone else in on it to manage the technology. And I think you do that, Sarah, don't
Yes, we
you?
do.
When you have a big call, you have someone who's talking so they can focus on the talk and the participant, and then you have someone in the background who is managing technology. Do you have any other points there, Sarah, or anything else that could go wrong on Zoom? We've heard
there is
stories.
so much that can go wrong. I mean, you can instantly fall before you started with the technology. So it is, as you said, really good to be aware of the technology. But I've seen some horrors going around on the internet, and of course, I'm not going to name any names, but I have seen some that have gone viral. You know, I was caught out early on in lockdown when I organised a meeting for a personal meeting, and I didn't realise my camera was on, and people kept saying, "Why are we looking at your arm?" And I didn't realise my camera was on. Now that's easily solved. It was personal and it was simple, but I have seen one where somebody hasn't realised their camera is on and is taking it into the toilet with them. Now, it's a hilarious video that was doing the rounds on social media, and if you can find it, it's worth a watch, because you don't see a lot that's going on, but the expressions of the other people in the meeting are pure gold. Absolutely pure gold.
That just doesn't go away ever in your life, does it? Taking your Zoom call to the toilet unknowingly.
I mean, I do love the fact that it's so humanizing. I mean, everybody loves a nose around somebody else's house, and it's really interesting to see where people are set up. But I would say do pay particular attention to your background and the background noise as well, because you could get really caught out.
Yeah, and we won't forget the minister who swore at their colleagues
I know.
Zoom Live. No. Okay, so let's move over to a bit of social media etiquette, shall we? And we're going to talk about things to be careful with. And most of them, they seem so bleeding obvious, but clearly they aren't, because we get infuriated every single day. We get hurt, we get upset, we get, it's just full of unnecessary threads, comments, and expressions. So do you think it's okay to swear on social media?
I don't very much. Very occasionally I might, but I think I would avoid it. Unless it's part of your brand and unless it's what people are expecting from you, then I would avoid it. It's a very difficult thing to get right. And so I would avoid it, because you will upset more people than you will people who think it's funny or just ignore it. So I would definitely avoid it.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's one of those things that if you don't do it, no one will notice. But if you do it, a lot of people will notice. Absolutely. And take offense. So just cut it out unless it's really part of your brand, yeah, showing that you are a little bit, on the tough, rebellious side, or whatever it means to you. Now, of course, sexism on social media can go awfully wrong, so be really careful with that. And I think it goes both ways as well. I mean, we wouldn't agree for a man to post a topless woman, of course, on social media, but I see a lot of women who are posting topless men and, these quite sexist images sometimes. And I know it's done with a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, and to a certain extent it's just fun, but you've got to be careful. It goes both ways. What do you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it cuts both ways, and I think you do need to be really careful. Unless you are prepared very carefully and cleverly to defend your stance on posting images like that, then don't do it. Don't get yourself into hot water you don't need to be in. There's no point. Life has got enough stresses going on. So don't do it. And, it's just,
yeah,
it almost seems daft to have to point it out. But, yeah, don't do it, I would say.
There are just certain topics that we might as well just not go into at the moment, because we don't know what people are experiencing at the moment.
No,
We know that a
absolutely.
lot of people are struggling. So anything to do with mental health, just before you, because you're feeling pretty stable at the moment and you think it's easy peasy and all happy, there are a lot of people who are actually really, really struggling at the moment. So mental health, be careful with anything.
And just a point to pick up on that, me, mental health, yes, avoid, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but also I would say be very, very careful about being judgmental as well. It might really be getting on your nerves that people are still going out, but you don't know why they're going out. So I would be very careful about calling people out on not staying home, or talking about why you think that lockdown is madness and we need to be getting on with things. Just be very careful. Unless you are prepared to get into a debate that may not go the way you want it, that may lose you more friends or business colleagues than you're prepared to lose, avoid difficult subjects. Unless you're going to write an essay about it and post it in the right place. Social media is social and it might not be the right place. And also on that, just check the provenance of anything you want to share as well. And I know I said at the top of this interview, you can share things from, other articles and things, but just check the provenance of it so you're not posting something that you actually don't agree with where it's come from. So just be very careful.
Exactly, and I really appreciate you bringing up that. And I think we're all losing it some mornings, and the amount of times I'm sure all of us are sitting there tapping things in as a response, and then we just have to abort mission because we know that it's just going to open an even bigger.
Write it down with a pen and paper. Step away, and if you come back to it a few hours later and you still think you want to get into it, then maybe do it then. But I would say write it down, put it to a side, move on.
Yeah, and also because our words have a heavy effect on people, and I wrote that in my last blog for iStorm, you've got to be really careful because people are actually listening to you. And we know this by statistic that if two people who seem like they know more about a topic and seem assertive, they have a bigger influence on people and changing their minds than 100,000 scientists who keep repeating, we can't know. There is no way of knowing yet. So we need to just stay put and take it step by step. People cannot accept that. So we come up with the most relatable stories. And it is stories, it's telltales, it's someone else trying to find the reason behind it. So we have to be super careful with what we are going with. And we're seeing this especially now during this Corona pandemic. So let's leave that topic and move on to threats, which can actually be literally really dangerous for you. So it could be anything. And again, that we respond with automatically without necessarily thinking very much about it. Anything from, oh, I hate her or him, she's disgusting, oh, I'm going to burn it all down, or even I want to shoot him so badly, or I'm going to shoot him the moment I see him. Things like that is really dangerous. These are your public statements that you're actually putting in print, and they can be used against you in court. It would take a lot, of course, but people have been jailed for saying things like that. So we just got to be careful with these strong expressions.
I mean, it comes back to the same thing, doesn't it? If you would be happy for, if you, just think about it, when you've written something daft down, a threat down, if someone asked you to explain that threat in court, would you tie yourself up in knots trying to explain it away, that it was just a joke, you didn't mean it, you were just angry? How serious could it get? So just don't do it. Don't do it. You just stay safe, steer a steady path. And, it doesn't have to be boring and mediocre at 9. You just need to make sure that you're not, as I said before, if you're happy for your granny to read it, if you're happy for the police to read it, if you're happy for a potential business client to read it, then it's probably all right. If you're not, and it's only appealing to one group of people, then think about it, because not just one group of people are seeing your social media, particularly at this time.
And it's certainly not going to help saying that you were sarcastic. So, and we're coming into jokes now, and it's the same thing there. It's exactly the same thing. So inappropriate jokes about, of course, death, violence, sexism, mental health, it can just go the wrong way. So avoid it. It's not going to be funny.
No.
People are going to judge you for it. And then there's another type of jokes, which I realized actually, because I was about to share something last week, and I realized that no, most people are not going to get it because they're too young. So I'm not going to post it. It's just going to be embarrassing and make me look really old. So it's age ineffective jokes, I would call it. And also old jokes or stolen jokes, because people are always, you know, they've seen it 5 years, or they know that you've stolen something and you just repost it, but you claim that it's your own joke. It's just going to look bad on you.
Yeah. Just and if you're going to share an article that that outrages you, or you think everybody needs to know, just check the date of it. If it says 2015, don't do it.
Exactly. And then, of course, we have the favorite topic of conspiracy theories.
I love a good conspiracy theory. Now, I know people get really hot under the collar about some of the conspiracy theories that are out there at the moment, but you know, everybody needs a bit of entertainment, and some conspiracy theories I really enjoy reading and I really enjoy researching, and some you just think are completely mad. But you have to remember with conspiracy theories, a lot of people don't think they're conspiracy theories. So what might be your conspiracy theory may not be to someone else. It may be much more serious. So you need to be very careful. Again, if you are prepared to get into a discussion and you are prepared for everybody who knows you to see what you're posting about, then go ahead. But if you're not prepared to get into a discussion with somebody who may be an expert on that topic, then don't do it. But who doesn't like a good conspiracy theory occasionally? But for me, there's more entertainment in that than there is serious posting material, because I don't know enough about some of those subjects.
Well, you can't know it. You can't know it all, and that's why you're going to get yourself into trouble if you start discussing any of these topics. And of course, for those people, it is serious. But we have a new conspiracy theory coming up now, of course, with today's posting of the UFOs. There's going to be a new rave about it. It's Pentagon posting videos of chasing some unknown object that is passing really fast on the sky. So be prepared. 5G is out and UFO is back in.
Taking over. Now, I was a huge fan of an old program called The X-Files. You know, I think that's it. I love that sort of thing. But again, yeah, you've got to be really careful, because some people will know far more than you. So you need to be careful and not just be reactive. Again, write your response down. Don't post it immediately.
Totally. All right, so we are going to move on to our Ice Storm group's favorite pet hates. And I'm just going to read out, and this is something that most of us probably just resonate with and recognize. So Teresa Truscott is saying, so I've asked them, what are your favorite pet hates? People who go off on an ill-informed rant without considering any other viewpoint or try to score points off other people just to appear clever.
There's no need, is there? You know, I can be a real grammar fanatic, but I am not going to pull somebody up or embarrass somebody because they wrote something incorrectly. It's not kind. It's not generous spirited. And the same when someone goes off on that, you know, that ill thought out rant just to score points. It feels unnecessary and it feels unkind.
It is unkind, and we see a lot of that going on at the moment as well. So I think a lot of us have bleeding tongues now from keeping our mouths shut, I think, at the moment. But it's just not, again, worth it. And you actually, sometimes you just make yourself look like a fool, and people are going to help you even more foolish if you try to come out on top. So do you want to know what your co-founder of MNC, Nikki Chisholm, said?
Oh yes, go on. What's her pet peeve?
So Nikki says, I hate people sending chain messages. Oh, don't we all? Spamming on a page with no intros or comments, showing too much skin if in a professional setting, and using capitals all the time.
Oh, yes, those shouty posts that you get where someone uses capitals all the time. Now, we all know people that do, and sometimes it might be because they didn't realise their caps lock was on or something, and we've
How do
all
you not
done. But
realise?
yes, yeah, nobody wants to be shouted at, so I understand that completely. And spammy messages are, it just turns people off. You need to think a bit more carefully about what you're posting. I completely agree with her.
Mm. And Val Gaze and Yvette Ankara, they are both saying this, and this is something I've heard lately quite a lot, and I get it a lot myself as well. It's people you hardly know sending you a friend request first, and then if you accept, it's immediately followed by an invitation to like their page or support their fundraiser or, or cause. Do you get this too, I'm sure, Sarah?
Yeah, we do. So, you get that, and then it's hardly a friend request, is it? If they're just suddenly going to sell to you, it's going to turn you off immediately. I mean, you just press the button, do unfriend, 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 unfriend. It's easily done. You need to, if you're going to want to sell to someone, you need to be either upfront about it, or you need to become friends first.
So we have another one from Emma Nash.
Oh, lovely.
Questions along the lines of, I sold XYZ today. What are you most proud of today? And she says, I can't type what I say out loud to those posts.
There's a way of asking questions, and that's not the way to do it. People will just be bored. They will scroll past. You're not getting anyone's attention with that at all.
And Val Gaze again says, we all love and respond well to emotional blackmail, don't we? Only my true friends will share this. Read till the end.
You know what? I cannot believe people are still sharing that. I know who will read and who will respond. You think, really? Are you still sharing these things? Why are you doing it? It seems unfathomable. This isn't even emotional blackmail, is it? It's just boring.
Yeah, and quite childish as well, isn't it? It feels like something we were doing when we were teenagers and sending notes to our classmates. Anyway, that's the end of my list, actually. I think this was really fun, really good fun.
Really
and thank you so much for your input, Sarah. What's coming up next for anyone who's interested in joining in on a networking event or something happening this week with the Mumpreneurs Networking Club?
Yes, we have tomorrow, we have MNC UK, which is our nationwide networking event led by myself and Nikki Chisholm. And then towards the end of on Thursday, we've got 2 local meetings, obviously all held on Zoom, one in Haywards Heath, one in Chichester, and on Friday, another South Coast one in Worthing. But if you are further afield than the South Coast, come and join MNC UK. Find us online at MNC Online Group on Facebook, and we can get you enrolled for that tomorrow.
Fantastic. So MNC Online on Facebook, or obviously your website is?
The Mumpreneursnetworkingclub.co.uk.
Fabulous. That is brilliant. Well, good luck with your week.
Thank you. It's been fun. Thank you for having me.
That has been such a pleasure, and I hope that it was valuable information, and I'm sure most of it is familiar with everyone, but it could be good to just talk it through and be a little bit more aware of it, to keep it top of mind as well when we go out on social media. And of course, if you want to come back with me next week, I'll be back with a new iStorm Live Lounge on a current topic that is really important for us, and I'm going to reveal that a little bit later. And do support the iStorm Live Lounge as well by subscribing to the YouTube channel and liking the videos, because that means that we can spread further and give more support to people who need it, and valuable information as well. So thank you so much for listening to this week's Live Lounge with Sarah Guile from the Mumpreneurs Networking Club. Thank you so much, and I'll be back next week. Take care. Stay safe.